Jayne Mansfield, the blonde Hollywood starlet, didn't just flirt with controversy. She wrapped it in a pink bow and strutted it down the red carpet. Brazen, brainy, and built like a bombshell, she catapulted to stardom with a wink, a wiggle, and enough cleavage to cause a moral panic. She was the ultimate blonde spectacle of the 1950s, until her glittering life ended in a crash that shocked even scandal-hardened Hollywood. Born Vera Jane Palmer on April 19, 1933, in the cozy wealth of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, little Jane had it made. As the apple of her rich parents' eye, she was coddled, spoiled, and told the world was hers for the taking. But life threw its first punch early. Her father died of a heart attack when she was just 3. Her mother didn't waste time grieving, snagging a new husband and hauling the family to Texas, leaving young Jane with abandonment issues that would play out in her messy love life later. By the time she hit high school, Jane was already serving serious bombshell energy. She developed early and knew exactly how to work it. Boys drooled, girls whispered, and teachers probably clutched their pearls. But popularity didn't come drama-free. On Christmas Eve 1949, teenage Jane locked eyes with Paul Mansfield at a party, and the hormones did the rest. He was hot, she was hotter, and before you could say bad idea, they were married the following May. Jane was 17 and 3 months pregnant. 6 months after the I do, baby Jane Marie arrived and reality set in. The fairy tale fizzled fast, and so began Jane's long, wild ride through fame, chaos, and more than a few terrible decisions. Once that wedding ring was on her finger, Paul Mansfield figured Jane would trade her heels for house slippers and start living the mom life. Spoiler alert, she had zero interest in playing June Cleaver. Jane had been stealing the spotlight since she could babble, and domestic bliss just wasn't her vibe. In 1954, using all her charm and a good dose of determination, she sweet-talked Paul into ditching Texas and heading to Los Angeles so she could chase her Hollywood dreams. And honey, the drama started immediately. Jane's body was so over the top it actually worked against her. One of her first gigs was a poolside General Electric commercial featuring swimsuit-clad ladies. Sounds like a dream, right? Wrong. The producers gave her the boot because her curves were apparently too distracting. Translation: her chest was too much for TV. Embarrassing? Yes, but buckle up. Worse was on the way. Her stunning looks and va-va-voom body got her into casting offices, but the meetings rarely ended with contracts. She bombed screen tests left and right. Even though one hopeful producer complimented her obvious talent, both Paramount and Warner Brothers showed her the door, repeatedly. But Jane wasn't about to quit. Instead, she had a light bulb moment, and it came in a bottle. Though the world knows her as the ultimate platinum blonde, Jane was actually a brunette by birth. But when rejection after rejection piled up, she figured it was time to join the peroxide party. Enter Blonde Bombshell 2.0. Did it land her a major film role? Not quite. But it did earn her a spread in Playboy as Miss February 1955, and boy did that shake things up. Suddenly, Jane was the talk of the town, and every Hollywood exec who once gave her the cold shoulder was now very interested. With a wild origin story like that, is it really a surprise that Jane's life turned into a full-blown Hollywood circus? Not even a little. In 1956, Jayne Mansfield hit the screen in the musical comedy The Girl Can't Help It, and let's just say the title wasn't lying. Jane was magnetic, hilarious, and completely irresistible. But here's the tea. Her big break wasn't exactly as glamorous as it looked. Hollywood wasn't so much discovering a star as it was manufacturing one. Studio execs were in a full-blown panic to clone Marilyn Monroe. And Jane? She was just their latest blonde guinea pig. 20th Century Fox didn't even try to hide it. They literally promoted her as a king-sized Marilyn Monroe. Subtle, right? But hold on to your pearls, because the shady behavior didn't stop there. Fox already had Marilyn under contract, but she'd started giving them a hard time. So their brilliant plan? Use Jane as bait. Yep, they dangled Mansfield in the spotlight, hoping Marilyn would get jealous and come crawling back. It wasn't competition, it was psychological warfare in lipstick. Professionally, Jane was skating on studio-manipulated thin ice. Personally, it was an even bigger mess. While Jane's star was rising, her marriage was free-falling. Paul Mansfield, her high school sweetheart turned ball and chain, was not enjoying the spotlight. From day one, he was the jealous type, and not in the cute, he loves me way. We're talking drop out of that beauty pageant or else kind of insecure. When Jayne entered the Miss California contest behind his back, he lost it and forced her to quit. To be fair though, Jayne wasn't exactly the poster child for fidelity. With her bombshell looks and growing fame, staying faithful just wasn't high on her to-do list. Affairs? Oh, she had more than a few. Arguments? Constant. And Paul? He couldn't stand that his wife had the audacity to want a career. All he wanted was a Stepford wife in heels. By 1956, Jayne had had enough of the drama and slapped Paul with divorce papers. But he didn't just lick his wounds and move on. Oh no, he went full villain. As revenge, he tried to snatch custody of their daughter, Jayne Marie, claiming that Jayne was an unfit mother because of, wait for it, her Playboy spread. Really, Paul? You're mad your wife's too hot for your ego? Thankfully, the courts didn't buy it, and Paul walked away empty-handed. But don't worry, Jayne got the last laugh not long after. And trust, it was fabulous. While she was still untangling the hot mess of her divorce from Paul, Jayne Mansfield strutted into a nightclub and locked eyes with her next headline. Mickey Hargitay. But Mickey wasn't just some gym rat flexing for tips. He was fresh off his Mr. Universe win and shaking his moneymaker in Midwest's chorus line when Jayne spotted him. And baby, it was love at first bicep. Jayne was instantly smitten. Like cartoon hard eyes level smitten. But guess who wasn't here for the romantic vibes? Mae freaking West. Turns out, Mae didn't appreciate Jayne thirsting after her chiseled chorus boy, and the claws came out fast. The two blondes went at it in a full-blown diva showdown that ended with Mr. California himself. Yes, another musclehead, roughing up poor Mickey like a bar brawl in heels. Honestly, most chaotic meet cute ever. But if you thought that was peak drama, oh honey, we're just getting warmed up. Jayne was tasting fame and wanted a full-course meal. So when Mickey dropped to one knee with a 10-carat rock in 1957, she said, yes, faster than you could say tabloid gold. And because subtlety wasn't exactly Jayne's brand, she got hitched just days after her divorce finalized and wore a recycled movie costume as her wedding dress. Yup, she said, I do in the same sparkly frock from The Girl Can't Help It. Iconic or insane? You decide. By the late 50s, Mansfield wasn't just chasing fame. She was married to it. But while she was busy striking poses, Mickey's bank account was drying up. Jayne, ever the queen of oversharing, ran to the press whining that she was basically broke. How broke? According to her, she couldn't afford new furniture and was sleeping on the floor of her mansion. Girl read the room. The tabloids tore her apart for her out-of-touch pity party. And for a hot second, Jayne seemed a little embarrassed. But don't be fooled, it didn't last. If anything, she doubled down. Jayne practically invented the art of being famous for being famous. She was the original paparazzi puppet master, staging photo ops like it was her full-time job. And her signature move? The, oops, wardrobe malfunction. Except in Jayne's case, it was never an accident. It was a scandal in sequins, and she lived for it. Now, let's talk about one of Jayne Mansfield's most legendary headline grabs. Picture it. 1955, a swanky Hollywood pool party, cameras everywhere. Jayne shows up in a fire engine red bikini that clearly missed memo on fabric coverage. It was basically dental floss with straps. And right on cue, as she swan dives into the pool in front of a sea of photographers, the top flies off like it's got a vendetta. Oops, please. That accident was choreographed tighter than a Broadway number. Jayne knew exactly what she was doing, and the camera bulbs knew it too. Fast forward to 1957, and Jayne finally gets her big moment in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, playing a sultry, self-absorbed starlet named Rita Marlowe. Sounds familiar? It should. Rita was basically Marilyn Monroe in a blonde wig and higher volume. You see, Marilyn had been in a year-long legal battle with Fox due to their unfair treatment of her and had started her own production company called Marilyn Monroe Productions. And in the play, Jayne Mansfield, who is a Marilyn lookalike, parodied her as a dumb actress with no talent, who got famous off her good looks and starts her own production company. It was shady insulting. It was camp. It was petty perfection. Jayne was throwing glammed up shade from the stage, and the public ate it up. She was officially Hollywood royalty. But the view from the top? Yeah, it was a short one. While Jayne had Mickey Hargitay, the walking protein shake with muscles and charm, it didn't take long before wedded bliss turned into tabloid mess. Sure, they made a cute couple and popped out 3 adorable kids, but monogamy? That was never Jayne's style. She started flaunting flings like they were fashion accessories, and honey, they were bold. Her little black book was basically a who's who of the powerful and powerful adjacent. Rumors swirled that she had steamy affairs with both Robert and John F. Kennedy. Yes, really, JFK couldn't resist the blondes, apparently. But the final blow to her already crumbling marriage? That would be Vegas crooner Nelson Sardelli, who was basically a lounge singer with bedroom eyes. And Mansfield made zero effort to keep it low-key. By May 1963, Jayne was done pretending. He dragged Mickey all the way to Juarez, Mexico for a quickie divorce like it was a fast food run. And to twist the emotional knife, she brought Sardelli with her, in person, like some kind of petty final boss. You'd think that was as savage as it could get. But oh no, the drama was just heating up. So grab your pearls, because Jayne Mansfield was entering her full-blown villain era. Post-Hargitay breakup, our blonde bombshell wasn't just going for closure. She was gunning for everything he had, and then some. Her plan? Accuse Mickey of kidnapping one of their kids, even though the only thing being abducted was common decency. Total fiction, total drama, total Jayne. But wait, it gets juicier. Just as her personal life was spiraling into soap opera territory, Jayne decided to turn the dial on her thirst for attention all the way up. She didn't just flirt with scandal anymore. She married it and took its last name. Once content with a cheeky strap slip, she was now full-on stripping down in the middle of nightclubs like it was an avant-garde talent show. Her designer said, "No thanks." Her agent said, "She's become a circus." And the public? Couldn't look away. By the late 50s, the film roles were drying up, but Jayne had a new hustle. Nightclub shows. And baby, she raked in cash like it was confetti. She was essentially headlining Vegas in outfits that could be best described as strategically placed rhinestones. People joked it was Jayne Mansfield and a few sequins. And honestly, they weren't wrong. But even sparkle has its expiration date. Enter her third husband, Matt Cimber, Italian director, walking red flag, and the guy who led Jayne straight into the sleaze zone. As the golden age of bombshells faded, Cimber tossed Mansfield into a series of low-budget flicks that screamed desperation with a dash of glitter. Her career, circling the drain in fishnets and false lashes. Then came promises, or as it should have been called, regrets. Thanks to her husband and a squad of greasy producers, Jayne stripped down completely, making her the first major Hollywood star to go fully nude on film. Sure, it made history. Just not the kind she could brag about at dinner parties. Banned in a bunch of countries and deeply cringe in hindsight, the film proved one thing. Jayne should have trusted her gut, not her man. Jayne Mansfield's third marriage was over faster than a cheap champagne buzz, and it ended with all the subtlety of a dumpster fire. Her relationship with director Matt Cimber fizzled out by 1966, and let's just say it wasn't just the infidelity this time. Jayne was drowning in booze, spiraling into depression, and dropping truth bombs like, "I was only ever happy with Nelson Sardelli." Ouch, Matt. That's gotta sting. Post-divorce, she didn't exactly land on her feet. More like she tumbled into chaos headfirst. Jayne shackled herself to her lawyer, Sam Brody, because nothing says healthy rebound like dating your divorce attorney. And things got ugly. Fast. We're talking drunken brawls, sleazy burlesque gigs to pay the bills, and a household so toxic it practically glowed. Her daughter Jane Marie even claimed Brody was abusive, and worse, that her own mother encouraged it. Yeah, yikes doesn't even begin to cover it. Then came one of the darkest plot twists in this already unhinged saga. In November 1966, while visiting Jungleland, USA, because of course they were, Jayne's young son Zoltan was mauled by a lion. Yes, a real lion. The poor kid needed emergency brain surgery and managed to get meningitis for bonus trauma points. He miraculously survived, but heartbreakingly, Jayne wouldn't have much time left with him. Meanwhile, what was Jayne doing while her son recovered from being nearly eaten alive? Oh, just filming a sultry blink and you'll miss it cameo in A Guide for the Married Man, her final film appearance. And because Jayne couldn't just do a movie without drama, let's talk about the loves of Hercules. During filming, her Italian co-star, Moira Orfei, decided she was not here for Miss Mansfield. Bitter about not being the lead, Orfei basically staged a cinematic coup and had Jayne's name erased from all Italian promos. Cold, calculated, and oh so catty. The claws were out. And besties. Jayne Mansfield may have started in Marilyn Monroe's shadow, but the real grudge match was with fellow blonde bombshell Mamie Van Doren. Jayne saw Mamie as her bargain bin doppelganger and wasn't shy about it either. When the two had to film the delightfully trashy The Las Vegas Hillbillies, Jayne straight up refused to share scenes with her. Why? Because she claimed Mamie was just the drive-in's answer to Marilyn Monroe. Savage. Now let's talk branding, because Jayne wasn't just beauty. She had brains behind the bombshell act. While she looked like she lived in a bottle of Pepto-Bismol, pink poodle, pink Cadillac, pink champagne, it was all part of her master plan. Originally, she tried purple, but when she realized Kim Novak already staked claim to that pastel real estate, Jayne made the genius pivot to pink. And she gloated about it too. I got more column space from pink than Kim Novak ever did from lavender. Mic drop. Of course, you can't mention Jayne without bringing up that iconic photo. Yes, the one where Sophia Loren is giving her boobs a shady side eye. Loren finally spilled the tea years later, and it's even juicier than we imagined. Apparently, the party was meant to celebrate Sophia's big Hollywood debut, but ever the attention seeker, Jayne showed up late, and very intentionally sauntered straight over to Sophia Loren's table in a low-cut dress that clearly intended to upstage the Italian stunner, parked her curves next to Loren, and let her neckline do all the talking. The infamous photo caught Loren in an expression she says was quite accurate. As Sophia put it, "I was terrified it was going to explode, boom, all over the table." Honestly, same. Thinking back to how Jayne Mansfield held her front end over the table, Sophia said that it is fun to seduce and be seduced, but only playfully. And she also said she does not accept using female assets like that. Still, Sophia swears she held no grudge, even though folks kept shoving that photo at her for autographs for decades. Out of respect for the dearly departed diva, she refused every time. Classy queen. And then there were Jayne's wild Tarzan and Jane days with Mickey Hargitay, leopard print, baby. The duo strutted around like Hollywood's hottest jungle gym, flaunting matching animal print swimwear and turning every public outing into a full-on scandal. Shopping? Leopard. Red carpet? Leopard. Strolling down Hollywood Boulevard like it's her own personal runway? You know it was leopard. Subtlety? Never heard of her. Jayne Mansfield may have looked like a walking Barbie doll dipped in glitter, but don't let that glam fool you. This woman could roll up her sleeves and wrangle a zoo. Literally. She had a full-on animal kingdom at home. Multiple chihuahuas. Her ride-or-die pets. A Great Dane the size of a small car. A trio of cats, a rabbit, and a poodle for good measure. Glamour girl? Yes. Afraid of a little fur and chaos? Not even a little. And don't get it twisted, Jayne wasn't just a pretty face with perfect curves. Sis had range. She was fluent in 5 languages, had an IQ that could rival a Mensa member, and still got stuck with the dumb blonde label. Her response? They only care about 40, 21, 35. Translation, the girl knew her worth and knew the world was obsessed with her measurements, not her mind. But things take a spicy turn. Because angelic on the outside, Mansfield's private life veered into full-on gothic romance territory. In 1966, she met up with none other than Anton LaVey, head honcho of the Freaky Deaky Church of Satan. Yep, you read that right. They met, sparks flew, and suddenly the media was losing their minds, claiming Jayne was now the high priestess of Satan's San Francisco squad. Honestly, not your average mid-career move. Of course, people thought this was just another one of Jayne's headline-grabbing stunts. But LaVey's daughter Carla wasn't having it. She spilled the black magic beans, confirming not only that Mansfield was a full-on practicing Satanist, but also that she and Daddy Dearest were very much, involved. Talk about putting the sin in sinner. But then, the glitter dimmed. On June 29, 1967, tragedy slammed into Jayne's life. literally. She was en route to New Orleans with her kids and entourage when their car plowed into the back of a tractor trailer, hidden by a thick fog of bug spray. When the haze lifted, so did the final curtain on one of Hollywood's most outrageous icons. When that Buick slammed into the back of the trailer, it was instant tragedy. Everyone in the front seat, including Jayne, died on impact. She was just 34. The crash was so violently chaotic that first responders couldn't even make sense of the wreckage right away. And when they finally pieced it together, let's just say, it was a nightmare. As soon as the news hit the headlines, the rumor mill went absolutely feral. The biggest and grisliest claim? That Jayne had been decapitated. And to make matters worse, a chilling photo circulated showing what looked like her platinum blonde hair smushed into the shattered windshield. The drama practically wrote itself. But plot twist, the autopsy told a different story. Jayne died from a crushed skull, not decapitation. That hair on the windshield? Just her wig, flung out in the chaos like some tragic, glamorous ghost. But of course, the decapitation myth still lives rent-free in pop culture. Because heaven forbid a Hollywood bombshell dies without a horror movie twist. One small shining mercy in the wreckage? Her kids survived. But even then, the scars were real. Little Mariska Hargitay, who now kicks butt as Detective Olivia Benson on Law & Order SVU, was left with a permanent zigzag scar on her head. Thankfully, she doesn't remember the crash. Probably the universe's way of sparing her the trauma. As for the mangled car, yeah, someone actually kept it. One of Mansfield's mega fans snatched it up like a morbid souvenir, bloodstains and all. He kept it tucked in his garage like it was the Hope Diamond, and in 1999 it sold at auction for $8,000. Sweetie, I love vintage, but maybe not that vintage. And let's not forget, Jayne and Marilyn didn't just break the mold, they reshaped it. Before them, Hollywood liked its women thin and boyish. Then these two curvy queens showed up, and America suddenly discovered its obsession with, well, breasts. So much so that when Jayne appeared on The Tonight Show, Jack Paar didn't even bother with formalities. His intro? Here they are, Jayne Mansfield. Classy.